Good morning, everyone. So, my name is Shiloh, and this is my journey in my Capstone 1 in figuring out what I wanted to do for my future. So, part one of that and what I learned from this semester was from Susan's class, which was clear communication with leaders. So, a few weeks ago, I was sitting down with her, and I was a little anxious, but also slightly relieved. So my project, I'm very different from the rest of the students here in that this is a storytelling and creative school, and I'm going into logistics, which is very much opposite of what this program typically is. So figuring out how my capstone for this semester looked was a challenge. But after sitting down with her and really narrowing down, okay, so this is what I'm doing. These are some of the aspects of it. What is a good project that can be done with the amount of time that I have to do that was super, super helpful and was a great clarifying thing for me to find a path forward and actually be able to complete my capstone on time. Doing that was a little bit of a challenge. Again, being in logistics was a very different thing. So what I chose, and I'll go into it in more detail later, was working on Excel and breaking down a formula and learning how that works so that I can start to become a better employee for any future company that I go into. So the big takeaway from that was clear communication with leaders is great as a clarifier and gives you a clear path forward. On a similar note, going back to Lydia's class and touching on something that Kaya mentioned, building out the resume and being able to present yourself well to employers was something that was truly awesome to be a part of and learn how to do better. I interviewed well, but one thing, the biggest takeaway that I had from her class was watching a series of videos on how to present yourself to companies. Again, I interviewed well, but those videos talked about talking not about your past and what you've done, but how your experience applies to their future and putting the emphasis on their future, which is something I half knew subconsciously, but I don't think I ever really capitalized on. And so learning that and really getting that reinforced and even doing a mock interview with Brian and Susan later on a mock position that I had really helped sell that and made me a lot more confident in my interviews. And so what that did was when you talk about other people's interests, you get the position or you get the thing that you're after. So now this is certainly a slide title to start out with. So I'll clarify this by saying that if you're familiar with Clifton's strengths, one of my top 5 strengths is harmony, which means I try to be very in tune with other people's ideas. So I generally have a fairly good idea of what's going on to make sure that everything's flowing smoothly. The reason I had this as a title is because of starting out at Vertical even last semester, I am working for a credit union back home in Ohio in a remote position where I was working 40-hour full-time. That didn't work for this program, so it was working down to get a 30-hour full-time job so I could go, which I did. That's still a little bit tricky at times with the workload at Vertical being project-based and not so much homework-based. So starting out, I was talking with a previous boss about trying to see if we could get a third person added under my job description because currently it's me and one other person in our job title, which makes time off or getting positions covered very difficult. Through that, in the first boss, I had a couple of conversations that I probably wasn't as clear as I should have been when explaining it to him, and nothing really came of it. A few months later, there was a change of bosses, and a few months ago, had another sit down with that boss where I really made sure that I was aware of managerial pain points and how to sell adding this third person and why it would be a benefit to them and not just because I wanted a third position because it'd be easier for me. And about a month or so ago, my boss called me at about and later in the evening when I was the only one in the department. That's standard every day pretty much for me, which is unusual, so I was a little bit anxious, but all it was catching me up on a team meeting that they had earlier that day. But he also said, hey, I talked to my boss about adding a third position to your job title, and she was on board with that and loved the idea, and so we are actually moving forward with adding a third person into my position, so I'll be able to move into that part-time role next semester, where it'll be a lot easier for me to pursue an apprenticeship. So the lesson from that I pulled, and that I think was very beneficial, was when you're sympathetic to the other person's ideas and desires, you get what you're looking for out of it. So all of that's well and good, but what did I actually do? I can tell stories, but what did I do? So this is a lot. What I'll say is the 5-year timelines, again, I chose logistics. That's just a rough outline of what I could be, positions of similar titles that I could be going into. The 2-year timeline is what I specifically want to focus on. So as I mentioned earlier, I'm really trying to, over the next several months and even years, is really try and build my Excel proficiency first and foremost, because that's what I've determined is going to be the best and most effective way of making myself more presentable for a logistics position. Similarly to that, and for things similar to this, PowerPoint is another thing that I want to get familiar with, that in this case, both of my slides that you'll see today were built in Canva, but I want to make sure that I'm learning a specific suite, so that if an office uses the office suites, that I'm familiar with that and I'm not relying on some sort of outside software to do that. And then lastly, something that it says at the end that I really want to highlight is with the 2-year continuous, networking doesn't stop, but that's just an immediate future thing for what I'm doing here at Vertical, because that's about how long the program is. But I'll emphasize it later. Networking is super critical, and that's something that's been heavily enforced here at Vertical. So key takeaways about it while I was doing informational interviews with people in the field. Logistics, great job security, they're always looking for help. It's a big field, somebody's going to have something open. On the same token, there are lots of companies, so make sure to do research was heavily highlighted, because some companies are really good about supporting you and training you and giving you outside options for training. Some, not so much. So making sure that you have one that'll support is important. Again, networking is gold. Heavily repeat that. Influences that I learned, it's actually probably physically less rough than I was expecting, because there's a lot more automation these days. So there's typically, especially at some of the bigger ones, a lot less heavy lifting required. There's lots of certifications here at VI, which means getting something like a forklift certification or something else will be super easy and not super long and tedious to do. And there are lots of pathways available for growth. Talking about Lydia's class again, you're not going to be able to really read it from where you're at, but I wanted to put this up here because it's important to show that we did do, like, this is taken very seriously about making sure we are creating value for ourselves and for companies that we're applying for. So showing the sample resume and cover letter. So my action plan for the summer. I'll touch back on something I said earlier. So I still have, it's a full-time job, it's 30 hours. So my summer, I'm gonna be going back to a 40-hour full-time. So my summer plan and making sure what I'm doing to find an apprenticeship is gonna be a little bit different, which is what I'm highlighting here. So in the first month, I'm really gonna try and follow up with contacts that I have about apprenticeship opportunities and continue to develop my Excel skills. With new contacts, I'm going to try and get new contacts, keep on the Excel skills, and then in month 3, if still nothing's happened, I'm going to try and work with vertical leadership on getting that. Who I am in 6 months, I am a reliable, detailed leader for any incoming climbers that will be able to really support them in whatever help that they need, whether it be through advice or with slides, or anything that just general life advice. And for employers, I am continuing to be a reliable, hardworking employee that provides tremendous value any position that I go, and a quick learner. And thank you all so much for your time. I really appreciate it. And as you all see the title, the creative heads started rolling. So this was my journey in learning Excel. As I covered a little bit earlier, this was the area that I decided would be the area for my project that was going to be most beneficial for me in advancing my future professional career. The setup. This is a lot. It's very much a lot, and this is very close to what I see on a daily basis when working for the credit union. Quick disclaimer, these are not actual numbers for anybody's account. This is made up. This is all fictitious. This is purely so you can get a good idea of what I'm seeing on a daily basis when I work through this process and use the formula that I'm about to break down. This is the formula. So when going through this and looking at this at first, some of it was self-explanatory, but about half of it was something where, as I learned through Excel, and I'll cover in more detail later, while I'm more analytical, I'm not exactly a coder. So going through this process and learning this was almost a little bit like learning what a new word meant in a foreign language. But this is the basic formula that I'm running when looking at that previous slide. I should mention about why this particular thing that I'm running through is important. It's very close to a situation that I went through before I started working at the credit union that I currently work for. So this report is designed to catch loans that were closed, but that payments may be still going to. So for me, in my situation that was very similar, not exactly the same, is I had a car loan with a different financial institution than the credit union that I was at. And I was making payments, it was automatically going out and everything was fine. And I paid it off, but I forgot to close the automatic payment that was going to my car loan, and it pulled another payment. Now, that didn't pull me negative or anything, but it was certainly oh crap, this isn't great. So and then the bank, and then the credit union again, because the bank said it was on the credit union, and figuring out that whole mess. And that's what this report is designed to negate, is to make sure that if there's any payments that are potentially there, or if things weren't properly closed, they get properly closed so that doesn't happen. So this was the part of the formula that I said made sense to me. So this is the match section, where it's designed to take anything from, in this case, what I have as the A numbers in column B, and designed to do it to find the matching numbers in column D, and the 0 in this case specifies an exact match. So the account numbers have to be precise in order for it to find a match. And so what that does is it shows you, in this case, the position of what's in row D, which is column rows 6 and 11, and the rest show up as an A, or basically an error. That's great, but that's still a lot of clutter. That doesn't really do much of anything. So what happens next is the is error section of the formula. Basically, is error, looking at it in this part, is a little bit more self-explanatory than what I was getting at first online through just Googling. But it's basically designed to say, okay, is this number in an error state, yes or no? So any of the ones that were that said NA on the previous slide, that were in error, it marks as true, and any of the ones that weren't, it marks as false. It's a little bit cleaner than what was on the last slide, but that's still a lot of unnecessary information, and the numbers that we're wanting to work with are false. How does that make sense? So that's where the not section of the formula comes in. Not is designed to flip that previous statement that is error just did. So instead of basically in short, is it makes sure that you're working with the values that you actually want to work with. So that makes the account numbers that I'm wanting to work with
true, and the rest are false. So that just, again, the ones that are in that error state, just make sure that those are values that I don't need to work with. All of this in concert equals that. Now that's a lot cleaner and a lot better. That is also very typical of what I see, but I did about 20 in this case because that was a more manageable number. But at work, that column A can be hundreds or thousands of lines long. And so that formula, by putting it into C and just double clicking it, runs it all the way down that, and then when I run it, it can bring it down to sometimes 2 or 1, and in every once in a blue moon, it even brings it down to 0. There's nothing to check. Everything was fine in the first place. One other small thing that I'll just cover real quick, because I just found it slightly amusing and something that I would have to do more research into, is when I'm at work, that column D actually vanishes and there aren't any numbers in there. What I think happened in this case is at work, I'm having to go 2 or 3 different places and pulling numbers and copy pasting off of 2 or 3 different sheets. I didn't do that when I was working at home. I just did everything and just put it into one sheet when I was working with it. And so what I think is, I'm not exactly sure the technical side of it per se, but that's, I think, why things are still showing up in column D, is because I only worked off of one sheet instead of the 3 that I would normally be working off of. So what I've learned is I still have a ways to go in figuring out my way through Excel, but hearing all of the different stories from at least one of the people I did an informational interview with on how useful Excel is for helping small businesses work through their financial situations, or again, just working through personal spreadsheets at home, maybe with budgets or with other things, personal projects that I may want to do, has been super interesting. And also and a lot to learn that, again, it's like learning a new language. Those formulas are more or less, as I understand it, basically coding in a way. So having to work through, okay, when I'm learning Excel, this is what if does in concert with this. This is not. This is, again, as I was showing you what this formula does and how I can set up things on my own to start building my own tables or build my experience with it. I also, again, I mentioned this earlier, but a big thank you to Susan for helping me get on this direction and finding something to actually be able to create a quality Capstone 3 presentation on, because my project was so different to everybody else and I'm still kind of working towards an apprenticeship in that field. Having something that I can demonstrate, okay, that I'm a quick learner, I can understand complicated concepts relatively quickly. It may take me a few tries. I had to watch 4 or 5 videos in addition to doing Google research, and I still didn't fully understand what everything did until I did just one singular 3-part of that formula before it actually fully clicked in my brain. Okay, this is what everything actually means. So again, demonstrating that I'm a quick learner, that I can do these concepts relatively quickly, and that I'll be able to then provide value to whatever future employer I might have, or even if I do things myself, knowing that I can stand on my own feet in learning these programs, or helping other people, if in this case maybe climbers, figuring out what they need to do, has been a true benefit, and I've been super grateful to go through the experience. And again, thank you for guiding me and kicking me when I needed to be kicked. Again, as others have commented, just some pressure prompting, like, okay, you know what, like, just do the thing a little bit, come on, has been helpful. And again, managing time through that has been it's been a really great pleasure to be able to go through this experience. So thank you for listening to me ramble on basically a piece of code for the last 10 minutes. And I hope y'all really enjoy the next presentations that are getting ready to come.